The freedom many celebrate today didn't come from the speeches of famous leaders or the signatures on government papers, but from secret revolts buried deep in the soil of history, stories so powerful that those in power tried to erase them forever. This isn't the history you learned in school. This is the truth, the story of rebellions that burned quietly beneath the chains, led by men and women whose names the world was never meant to remember. Today we uncover the secret uprisings that rewrote Black history. Stay with me and watch to the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more untold Black history stories. The night was thick with the scent of rain and revolution. In the dense forests of Saint-Domingue, now modern-day Haiti, a gathering was taking place. Men and women, enslaved and beaten for generations, met in secrecy under the cover of drums and moonlight. Their leaders? A powerful Vodou priest named Dutty Boukman, and a fearless woman named Cécile Fatiman. Together, they led a sacred ceremony known as the bois caïman gathering, where oaths were made, blood was spilled, and freedom was promised. What happened that night would ignite the only successful slave revolt in human history. The enslaved people of Haiti didn't just rise, they won. They overthrew French rule, defeated Napoleon's army, and established the first free Black republic in the world. The world powers were terrified. France, Britain, America. None of them wanted the story of Haiti's uprising to spread, because if enslaved Africans in one place could win, others might realize they could too, so they tried to erase it. But history remembers what courage refuses to forget. Pause. The Haitian Revolution didn't just free a nation, it inspired uprisings across the Americas. From Jamaica to Louisiana, whispers spread like wildfire, Haiti did it. So can we. If this already has you hooked, take a second. Hit that like button right now, because what comes next will shake you even more. January 1811, Louisiana. Sugar plantations stretched for miles, owned by some of the wealthiest men in America. But hidden among the fields, a different kind of harvest was growing, revolt. A man named Charles Deslondes, a free Black man from Haiti who had seen freedom with his own eyes, was about to lead the largest slave uprising in U.S. history. Under his command, over 500 enslaved men and women rose up, armed with machetes, axes, and raw determination. They marched toward New Orleans, chanting for freedom. For 2 days, they burned plantations, destroyed property, and demanded equality. But the U.S. military responded with brutal force. The rebellion was crushed. Dozens were killed. Their heads were cut off and placed on stakes along the Mississippi River, a warning to others. And then, history books called it a minor disturbance. But the truth? It terrified slaveholders across the South. The German Coast Uprising became a symbol, a message that even in chains, the human spirit would not break. The irony? Without uprisings like these, there would have been no pressure to end slavery. No awakening of conscience in nations built on oppression. These weren't just acts of rebellion. They were the heartbeat of revolution. Fast forward to 1831, Jamaica. A preacher named Samuel Sharpe, born enslaved but educated and fearless, believed that faith and freedom could coexist. He organized what began as a peaceful protest, workers refusing to work until they were treated fairly. But when plantation owners responded with violence, Sharpe's message became a firestorm. More than 60,000 enslaved Jamaicans rose up, burning fields, breaking chains, and taking control of their destiny. The British Empire called it the Baptist War. But make no mistake, it was a revolution. The rebellion was brutally crushed and Sharpe was executed. Before his death, his final words were, "I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live in slavery." That sentence echoed through the empire, and within 3 years, Britain abolished slavery in all its colonies. One man's courage, one nation's uprising, one ripple that changed the world. Now let's cross the Atlantic, to America's Civil War. Everyone remembers Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. But few know that freedom was not just declared, it was fought for. Over 180,000 Black soldiers, many of them formerly enslaved, joined the Union Army. They fought, bled, and died to free people who would never know their names. They were called the U.S. Colored Troops. But behind the uniforms were mothers, fathers, sons, who refused to let freedom be just a dream. And while textbooks give glory to generals, these unsung warriors were the true architects of victory. They turned the tide of the war. They proved that freedom was not a gift, it was a right earned in blood. Yet after the war, many of them were erased from the pages of history. Until now. From the swamps of Louisiana to the hills of Jamaica, from Haitian freedom fighters To unknown heroes in America's fields, these uprisings share one truth. Oppression may silence voices, but it cannot kill memory. Every act of resistance, every uprising, every refusal to kneel, became a thread that rewove the fabric of Black history. But here's what most people don't know. There was another rebellion, one so massive, so coordinated, and so threatening to global powers that it was erased almost completely from Western records. It didn't happen in the Caribbean. It didn't happen in America. It happened in Africa itself. And its impact would reach across the oceans, shaping the fight for independence centuries later. That isn't the end of the story. We're going back to the motherland, to uncover the secret African uprisings that rewrote the world before the world even knew it. If you're learning something new today, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because part 2 will change everything you think you know about rebellion, resistance, and freedom. Before the chains crossed the ocean, before Haiti rose, before America bled for freedom, Africa had already begun to fight back. Long before the world called it rebellion, the motherland called it justice. These were not mere uprisings. They were battles for identity, for land, for survival. Led by kings, queens, warriors, and everyday people who refused to surrender their dignity to empires hungry for power. Today we journey back to the soil where resistance was born. This is the part of history they never wanted you to see. In the early 1600s, deep in Central Africa, a woman named Queen Nzinga stood before Portuguese colonizers who had come to enslave her people. When they offered her no seat during negotiations, she placed one of her attendants on all fours and sat on his back. That wasn't defiance, it was a declaration. For over 30 years, Nzinga fought against European invasion, building alliances, forming armies, and using strategy that outsmarted colonial forces again and again. She showed the world that the African throne could not be conquered without a fight. If Queen Nzinga's courage moves you, take a moment to like this video, because what comes next shows her spirit never died. 2 centuries later, on the Gold Coast, modern-day Ghana, the British came for gold and control. But they didn't expect the wrath of the Asante Empire, a nation built on pride and power. When British soldiers demanded the golden stool, the sacred symbol of Asante royalty, they didn't just ask for gold. They asked for the soul of a people. And one woman refused to let that happen. Her name was Asantewaa, Queen Mother of Ejisu. She stood before the chiefs and said, "If you, the men of Asante, will not go forward, then we, the women, will. We will fight till the last of us falls on the battlefield." Her speech sparked the War of the Golden Stool in 1900, one of the fiercest resistances against British rule. Though the Asante fell to superior weapons, Asantewaa's name became eternal, a symbol of female strength and African pride. Her courage didn't just defend a stool. It defended identity itself. Now we move east, to German East Africa, today's Tanzania. In 1905, after years of exploitation, a man named Kinjekitile Ngwale arose with a message that united over 20 ethnic groups. He told them their ancestors had given them sacred water, maji, that would protect them from bullets. They believed, they fought, and they rose in what became the Maji Rebellion. Against rifles they charged with spears, with hope, faith, and fury. The Germans responded with massacre, over 250,000 lives lost. But something remarkable happened. For the first time, tribes that were once divided stood as one. And decades later, when Tanzania won its independence, the spirit of Maji still lived, not as myth, but as memory. Then came Ethiopia, the empire that never fell. In 1896, Emperor Menelik II faced an Italian invasion. Europe thought Africa would kneel. But Ethiopia stood tall. At the Battle of Adwa, Ethiopian forces surrounded and crushed the Italian army, a stunning victory that echoed around the world. Europe was shocked. Africa had not only resisted, it had triumphed. That victory became a beacon for generations to come, inspiring freedom movements from Harlem to Havana. Ethiopia proved that Africa was never conquered in spirit, no matter how many borders were drawn or stories rewritten. From Haiti's revolution to Nzinga's throne, from Asantewaa's defiance to Adwa's triumph, one truth burns through the ages: freedom was never given. It was always taken with courage, unity, and sacrifice. These weren't isolated revolts. They were echoes, each one lighting the next, forming an unbroken chain of resistance that still burns today. Every protest, every voice that says, "Enough," every generation that refuses to be silenced, carries the spirit of those secret uprisings. So when you hear stories of Black history, remember, behind every victory was a fight they tried to erase. But courage leaves fingerprints, and history always finds a way to remember them. If this story opened your eyes to a side of history you never knew, don't let it end here. Like this video, help others learn the truth that textbooks forgot. Subscribe, because our next story will take you to cover the spies, the writers, and the code breakers who fought with more than guns. This isn't just history, it's a legacy, and it belongs to all of us.